Hi everyone, welcome to the Neural AI podcast, where we'll be delving into AI and its various subdomains. We'll be exploring an array of topics like generative AI, recommender systems, deep learning, and reinforcement learning. We'll explore how this intersects with various industries like retail and healthcare, and we'll do this by chatting to thought leaders in the industry who share their personal journeys of perseverance, use cases, and technical challenges. Besides this, we'll also have some fun along the way, discussing future predictions. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hi everyone, so welcome back to the NeuralPod. Special guest today, Sumit Singh. We go way back, don't we, Sumit? First of all, how are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks for coming on today. For those that don't know, Sumit is a lead solutions architect at Fujitsu, specialising in digital twin technology, where you completed your PhD from 2017 to 2022. I just think you're a really passionate guy about the industry. You're keen to champion digital twin technology and also use platforms like this to address the skills gap in the industry right now. So I think with digital twins not being quite mainstream at the moment, let's start from a really high level. Let's introduce to people to digital twins and why they're important.
Yeah, sure. I think yeah, I can start with a very quick introduction about the digital twins. Uh, so digital twins are really the virtual replication of any industrial system process of or probably whatever you see around you. So you can imagine that you can start thinking of the digital twins as a virtual representation of the physical world. So my interest actually started back from my MSc in the university, where I as a, it the term itself came as a part of the group project that I did, uh, and it was around the digital twin. Uh, and back then, 2016 and 17, it was quite a fairly new topic of research, uh, not only in the academia but also across the industry as well. So, and I thought, okay, this is gonna get interesting. There's not many research available,
Hmm.
so we can sort of expect a steep boom in the research of the digital twin and the popularity of the digital twin across the industry as well. And that's when I decided to pursue this PhD opportunity, a fantastic opportunity that allowed me to explore the topic of digital twin within the aerospace industry.
Yeah, thank you for that. And like you say, it's a digital representation of something. Why is it important? What kind of impact do they have?
So I think the the concept of digital twin, you can start to think of the convergence of the cyber physical systems. So what I will take a quick example. Back in like 30, 40 decades ago, yeah, 3 to 4 decades ago, we every single component used to be drawn on a piece of sheet, and there used to be draftsmen and the designers that used to draw big and the complex drawings, and then it used to manufacture, and then it used to test it and trial. But suddenly, you can imagine, with the advent of the software, with the advent of the 2D and the 3D drawings, you those replication those drawings start becoming digital.
Hmm.
And what it did is it allowed everyone almost in the industry, respective whether you're designing an aircraft or a car or any engineering system, basically, uh, that allowed you to have this repeatability within the industry, that allow a higher margin of error, and each time there is a problem with the design, you can just go and correct it. So from this example, we can imagine from a physical world, there was a physical world, and we start realizing these drawings in the digital world. So, and as we move forward with the 3D and now the simulation aspect within the engineering systems and the product development, you can see that there's a clear convergence of the physical and the real, physical and the cyber world, and or you can say the digital world as well. So, and that's where the digital twin becomes so important, because we're gonna see a higher curve and a much more speed within this convergence of the physical and the real world, and that's where the concept of the digital twin start playing an important role. And what makes digital twin explicit and important is because now we are looking at data driven solutions. Whatever we do across the industry, across any sector, uh, we see that data is the paramount. I mean,
Mm.
understanding the data is the most critical part of it, and that's where digital twin start playing an important role, because it's the interconnection of the cyber and the physical world with that data, with end-to-end integration of the data, is what leverages, or is what is the heart of the digital twin. And it allows several actors across your value chain to use that data in order to uh, see that coherence across the these product development, or processes, or the engineering systems, or basically whatever you do in your real life.
Yeah, and I think interesting points. For you yourself, you started off at Fujitsu in research, and now you've moved into a more solutions orientated role. And I think that's in my opinion, an accurate representation of how the markets moves.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gone from research to now. We're seeing it more and more in the real world. Where
yeah.
do you kind of bring the value to your customers with digital twin technology?
So I think the as the research went through within this domain, um, of course we have quite an advanced concepts of, let's say, sensors, IoT,
Mm,
and simulation, mathematical, highly sophisticated mathematical models already are existing, and there's an entire research that is happening within individual domain. uh, but where the digital twins bring an important role is to basically determine what is unknown.
mm,
So one of the very interesting application of the digital twin that I find in any sector, or any solution that I work for, is really enabling the customers to understand the interdependencies of the data,
mm.
interdependencies of the information, and how they get the value across their value chain within their business process as well. So so if you take an example, a very holistic example of the digital twin within the social aspect,
Mm,
right? Um, we see the application of the digital twin in almost every sector. Let's take an example of the transportation. Uh, we know the transportation network and everything around the transportation that we see around us combines people, uh, government from the policy level, and the infrastructure level, and then you have the private organizations as well.
mm.
So I think with the collective effort of these three different parties, enable you to have a more comprehensive as well as a smooth transportation within the society, basically. So where does the digital twin lands is to is allowing. So first, it has to benefit to the citizens, but for the organizations such as the private organizations working in the transport sector, plus the governments, is allowing them to have digitally rehearse, basically, the policies. So if you change certain things, how that would impact on the real world,
Yeah.
and that capability of digitally simulating or carrying out that what if scenarios within that specific sector is something is brings tangible value to all the parties and especially the people.
I understand, and I think you've kind of touched on it there. And I guess at the moment there's a lot of publicity about AI for good,
Yeah.
ethics, etc. But specifically within digital twins,
Hmm.
how has it been used for a force for good?
As okay, as said, transportation is an
Yeah.
example. We can also jump on to the national infrastructure. So, for example, in case of emergencies, you such as flooding, the first task of the government and the policymakers is to make our asset resilience to these emergencies.
Mm,
So in that case, what happens if one of our national grid, let's say, which we consider is a critical asset, is located in a flood prone area?
mm.
So how would you sort of create a resilience plan or have a readiness towards those critical assets? Uh, it's quite unknown because tsunami is unknown. So and any natural disaster is a bit unknown. So how you evacuate people, how you save these national critical infrastructures, how you plan the contingencies, and I think that sort of uh, rehearsal. That's what the very high level use cases of the digital twin already we are working on, and also that's also the focus of the government as well through the national digital twin program. So this is just one of the sector across the uh, 10 or 15 different sectors and hundreds of problems that we can solve for the digital twin for the public good.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I think you touched on it there, readiness, but I
Mm.
guess it also allows more proactive approach rather than waiting for
Yeah.
a flood to happen, and
Yeah.
has the added benefit, I imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, being a lot more cost effective than waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, exactly, and oversight into the future, having that a proactive approach rather than just a reactive approach that allows all the stakeholders to actually think, okay, where should we invest next? Because the cycle of the investment is always keep going on. So where does the government should invest? What are the gaps within the specific sector? And ultimately, it's all about the people, right? So
Yeah.
how you influence the people's behavior, that is also a sort of a complex bit that the digital twin aspect also covers, that how you influence the people's behavior in order to allow them to have certain choices that is not only good for the citizens but also good for the policymakers and the private companies that support this infrastructure around you.
Yeah, and going a little bit off script here, but in
Mm,
terms of this allows for readiness, and you touched on it at the start of the call, reliance on data. uh,
mm.
How can you ensure that the digital twins that you're developing are accurate, and where you're getting your data from?
I think this is a very let's say a practical problem
Mm.
that has been realized across the industry. So I think just saying that I want a digital tool to solve this specific problem is not enough in a practical sense. I think if you want a digital twin, you really have to drill down to the value. So what is the clear value that you want the digital twin to deliver? Because in most of the cases you can simply use the data science tools
Mm.
to look into some of your problems, but the digital twin really start playing an important role when you as I said, when there is a lot of things that are unknown, and in the end of the day, You want the digital twins to be to lie to exist within the heart of these within the heart of these enterprises, as well as the operational frameworks uh, that leverages the data. Of course, there's a problem, or I would say a huge agree like a huge agreement of the data sharing is important. That's why the concepts like connected digital twins start playing an important role. So if I'm an organization, I specialize in some specific field, but why should I share the data with other people, other company, or other organization in order to solve a collective problem? Of
Yep.
course, there are some there are some existing frameworks that does so, but why should we share the data? Because we never know what the data will be used at the other party, and that's where the concept of connected digital twin is really looking at that harmonization of that sharing of data across the enterprises in order to have a collective value across the stakeholder chain.
Yep. Okay. Really interesting points. And let's say an organization, is looking to they decide digital twin
Mm.
technology is for them. What
Yeah.
if what is the first step that they can take to start them along that kind of journey?
I think so. Okay, of course, when you think from enterprise perspective, let's take an example of the of an organization that makes engineering products, complex engineering products, such as cars or aircrafts or whatsoever. So, and you can imagine that you have the entire life cycle. So, life cycle aspect is always important in any organization. So, whether an organization is manufacturing or producing some engineering product, or a system, or even a service as well. So there is always an aspect of the life cycle that always exists.
Mm,
So from the example of the engineering companies, you design something, you manufacture something, and then you test and operate and maintain it for a long time. So if an organization wants to start with realizing the digital twin within their overall, let's say, digitalization story, I think that's pe- organization need to start realizing that where they want the digital twins to begin with, or which stage of the life cycle they want to solve the problem, or they want to optimize the problem. Because there are plenty of applications of digital twin to improve the designs, but we can see that within the UK and the Europe, there's a the digital twin adoption within the manufacturing environment has is going quite well. So I think you need to understand that whether from the organization perspective, you want to analyze which part of the life cycle you want to start applying the digital twin way, and then you assess the value that okay, if we do this, if we apply digital twin or adopt digital twin story
mm,
into the part of the equation, then what is the value that we're going to get? And of course, new adoption brings new challenges regarding the investment, regarding the culture change, regarding skills, and other things as well. So it's really there's a lot of work that needs to be done at an organizational level before actually get into the bits and pieces and the core engineering and the technical details
mm.
of the digital twin adoption.
I understand. And just to zoom out on that for a second, what would you say are the kind of key challenges in the industry right now?
I think value realization. I would start with the value realization, because just saying that I want a digital twin, I think that's not enough. Uh, so where does digital twin is an important part of your has to be an important part of your story. Realization of that is paramount. And I think the second one is, as I said, the cultural and the mindset change, because we can understand that, of course, uh, with the use of the legacy systems, with the current way of developing and managing the software and the platforms. Of course, they are state of the art in their own ways, but when you overlay the digital twin aspiration on the top of it, it's really it really exposes you from to a new ways of working. And that's what the
Mm.
cultural changes and the non-siloed approach is important. And and probably if uh, and consequently it leads to some skills problem as well across the industry, um, because because digital twin really expose your skills metrics to crossover between different skills attributes
Yeah.
across the industry. So if you just imagine that, oh, if you're a perfect data scientist doing quite well in the domain of the machine learning or AI, uh, yes, that's an important attribute to add on. But what you can do with the integration and the architecture approach. So it's really a crossover of the skills within the industry is important, and that's what the enterprises needs to realize over the period of time. And that's what we are experiencing in our solution development as well. That you are, if you are good at that advanced technical skills, but still some in architecture plus domain knowledge is critically important.
Yeah, and I'd love to touch on the skills gap with you shortly. I know we've had a chat about that
Yeah.
in the past. Moving on to digital twin simulation and the metaverse. I know all different in their own right, but similarities as well. And I think you kind of mentioned that this would be
Hmm.
a pertinent topic moving forward in terms of how they all work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are the crossovers? Obviously, everyone knows what the metaverse is, but
Hmm.
how does that tie into simulation and digital twins?
So let's start with the simulation. So in theory, we can understand, we can imagine that the simulation are allows you to predict, to have a predictive view into something. So that's what makes simulation as a definitive part of the digital twins story. So the question is, can digital twins exist without simulation? Perhaps not, because simulation is the one that allows you to have an insight of what is your baseline.
Mm,
So if you have an engineering system, you end up designing an engineering system and you expect to develop and build that engineering system, then you should know that how this engineering system is gonna behave if in a specific state or a condition. And that's what simulation allows you to do that. But on the top of it, what digital twin does is, because simulation is a definitive part of the digital twin itself, that it's really the data from the cyber to physical world goes through via simulation that allows you to predict the state of these systems or your processes in a way that it allows you to predict the baseline
mm,
in the real time. So that's what there's a close link, very close linkage of the simulation with respect to the digital twin. So these two are not completely different things. It's the digital twin concepts allows you to use the simulation as one of the component in the real time. And that's how you basically calibrate the state of these systems over the period of time, or understand their
mm,
predictive behavior. And that behavior is actually driven by the underlying real-time data and the simulation that exists behind it.
mm,
um, on the other hand, yes, the metaverse. I'm actually quite excited about the
mm,
future of the metaverse itself. The way I see the metaverse and the digital twins. So digital twins are, we can think of digital twins as a building block of the metaverse that will exist in the future. So we just take a hypothetical situation. We can understand that whenever we talk about metaverse, we can think of words like marketplace,
Mm.
telepresence, and so on. But it will be the digital twin that will use the dynamic and the responsive element of the metaverse. So what I mean by that is, um, because digital twin allows you to have this connectivity between the physical and the virtual world, and you take all that capability into the metaverse, and that's what will be the significant role of the digital twins in the metaverse storyline. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's super insightful, and as you say, exciting. Do you think there will be a world where we're taking the accuracy of a digital twin model and integrating it directly, like for like, into the metaverse, and we can step into that virtual world? And like I said, bit of fun, but do you think that could happen in the very near future?
Absolutely, it's going to happen. So for example, the way I think metaverse is going to evolve in the future is, if I run my organization today, because it has all those data and all those this product life cycle management, or the life cycle within the enterprise as well. A lot of these processes will exist in the metaverse itself. So for example, we can take an example of the training. So we might be few steps away of having these virtual training programs within the enterprises, especially where training people are difficult. So for especially in the robotic assembly lines, because industrial robots are can be very very dangerous. So we can think uh, of moving those training programs to be moved in a completely enterprise metaverse environment. And if and imagine if you have a digital twin ready by that time, before the adoption, then you can simply integrate your digital twin into that metaverse environment, and digital twin will actually just take care of probably everything,
Mm,
with the rest of the special internet and the data involved in your enterprise environment.
that's that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Great, and I know we kind of touched on it. Challenges, I think. Yeah, I'd love to dig a bit deeper on what the future skills of DT looks like with that in mind.
I think digital twin. So basically, it's I would say it's the skills for are still emerging.
Mm,
Let's say. So I can take an example of myself. My background is actually coming from the manufacturing design to studying the aerospace manufacturing, and then slow transition from manufacturing into the completely digital twin environment. And in my journey, I studied about machines, I studied about the design, I studied about the related tools and the platforms. And suddenly I start finding myself more exposed to not only design but also the data and the different platforms to manage those data,
mm,
in order to have those capabilities around digital twin, or the skills around digital twin. So it's the so the market is still emerging, and the future skills will be, let's say, more oriented towards the automation of these enterprise processes. That would also include the automation across the tools and the platforms and the softwares. And we can expect a very huge transition of the digital engineering approach into start playing an important role into the digital twin skills market. um, I think important point to mention here is, because there's the digital twin, and just like not only digital twin but also the area of the machine learning and the AI is also very fluid right now. So
Mm.
it has a different tempo. So it's not only the we should not only need to focus the new joiners, that is for joining the market force, but also what you're going to do with the existing workforce.
Mm.
So and that's where that should be that's where the organization should start thinking about as well. So if the digital twin is part of their enterprise transformation journey, then how they gonna reskill their existing workforce in order to embrace the digital twin stories. And and of course, digital twins is a very broad market. I
Mm.
mean, you can think of digital twin. That's how I say, a digital twin of everything or everything of digital twin. They are complete. They sound same, but they are completely different thing.
Yeah.
So it's since it's very broad. So it's organization has to organizations as well as the individuals needs to start thinking that, yeah, okay, how you embrace that broad set of skills, and that is not only relevant within the software development or within the manufacturing or within the system engineering. So just understanding this crossover is very important, not only for the organization but for the people as well. And also, because digital twin is also about non-tech non-technical perspective. So what I mean by that is, if you want to work on a digital twin of let's say history, let's say history and the heritage area, which is more arts driven, specific area. But the question is, oh, can we actually maintain a digital twin of our all the heritage sites and monuments? uh, and we know that the heritage monuments and the sites degrade over the period of time. So we can start thinking on a digital twin application, that, oh, can we have a digital twin for maintaining these monuments in a better and a more optimized way.
Mm.
So which means it's not only looking at the technical systems or the engineering systems or the engineering components or the big products, like cars and not only engineering part things, but also uh, people have to start understanding that how digital twins are part of this bigger non-technical storyline as well. Because you need, in order to develop the digital twin for the, let's say, the history and the historical monuments and the heritage sites, you need a lot of knowledge that is embedded into the history books, basically.
Mm.
So I think that that's the beauty of the digital twin, I would say.
Yeah, those are, again, super interesting, the applications that it can have.
Yeah.
Um, I think taking it back to present day, and something we've chatted about in the past, is the actual skills gap in the market today.
Hmm.
There is a real lack of. If I go back 2 or 3 years, I mapped
Hmm.
out 150 to 200 people that were,
Yeah.
had the relevant skills in the UK to do an applied research role in digital twin technology.
Hmm.
You was
Hmm.
one of them. So, what? Why do you think there's a gap? And I've got some thoughts on this as well. But what do you think we can do to help fill that gap?
I think the of course there is a there we can start with this gap with the lack of intent, let's say.
Mm.
So what I mean by the lack of intent is, you need, you know, that the digital twin is are emerging, and the organization just right next to me has already invested a bit money into adopting the digital twin. Then how I can embrace that? And that's a question that you ask as well. So what I mean by intent is, really looking at what am I happy to invest on the reskilling of my people,
Mm.
and if yes, then how understanding those transition or the trajectory of those skills within that enterprise is important. So I think that's where the first key point is. uh, it has to be driven by the enterprises. It has to be driven by the collaboration of the enterprises, university, and the governments. And of course, there has to be realization from the government side as well, that uh, yes, because the digital twin market is emerging. What governments can do actually to reskill, sort of uh, reskill people at a population level. Why those gaps exist is because first we it's hard to tell that uh, at what level you need your digital twin. Because if you are a, let's say for example, you're a software based company or a data optimization company, what you can do is optimize your expertise in the best way. But digital twin is not only about that. Digital, as I said, digital twin is quite broad. It requires a crossover of the skills across the enterprise, across the systems that are developed within around us. So I think it's there's a lack of realization of the crossover skills. If I studied only data science, would I be able to work on digital twin? Yes, of course, because
Yeah.
you will be able to do that. But if you want to progress more, or if you want to have a more proactive career within the digital twin, let's per se, for an individual, then understanding that crossover of those skills that are important for the digital twin, I think it's important to realize those things as well. So
Mm.
what what I used to do is, not only, for example, my PhD was in aerospace sector, but I was continuously updating myself that what was happening in the other sector. For example, the built environment, for example, the defense as well. So I think it's there's a lot of collective learning that happens, and that's how an individual as well as enterprises embrace and learn from those cross uh, from those different visions or the different streams of the digital twin that are taking place
Yeah.
within the market.
Yeah, I think you've touched on a couple of key points there. I think one of the big points for me is actually raising awareness and conversations like this, and having people like yourself, Sumit, who are champions for digital twin technology, and showing that there is a career path that's
Mm,
sustainable. From I've chosen to do digital twin at a PhD, study digital
mm,
twins at a PhD level, all the way through to now lead solution architect, and
mm,
also there's clearly demand in the marketplace, and like you say, the government addressing that, there
mm,
is a problem with the skills here,
mm.
and that needs to be fed all the way back into university. So I think you touched
Yeah.
on a key point there as well, in the sense that there's a lot of crossover skills that can come into digital twin
Mm,
technologies, and I think some of those people that could be crossing over are potentially crossing
mm,
over into things like data science and AI, and the
mm.
market is losing out. And again, I think that comes back to awareness that there is a super interesting piece of technology, and there is a career there. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Um, cool. And here's a quick question for you: do you think that a PhD is necessary while we're on the subject?
Um, I don't think so. If you are good at certain set of skills, whether you are from an apprentice level to the master's degree level, I think you can be on board with the digital twin story, uh, from anywhere really. And as you learn more and stay more proactive within this area, because we know that it's an emerging area, and the technology itself is gonna show different emerging behaviors over the next few years. So yeah, it's not absolutely necessary to have a PhD
Yeah.
for that.
Cool. And let's say someone watches this or is genuinely considering a career in working with digital twins. You've clearly the proof's in the pudding. It's something you've done. If you're going back as a candidate to that first conversation, pre-university and post-university, what steps would you take to become that best version of the digital twin you?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, okay, so for me, from what I learned from the personal example is, you can't be a digital twin champion for every sector. So you it would be great if you can start with selecting one of those fields. So for me, it's my digital twin story. It started with the aerospace as a sector, where I studied and I did research in developing a data centric framework for the digital twin for aerospace industry. So I think, and my previous knowledge in the manufacturing and manufacturing within the aerospace domain directly related was related to that. So I think it's important to find a close edge, I would say, that would allow you to become or be on board within that specific market. And and I think the moment you start with one sector or one engineering or any type of sector based problem, then you will start realizing, oh, the common principles of the digital twins are same across these different sectors, at least at this stage, because the area is still evolving.
Yeah.
So there is a crossover of skills that can be implemented and can be used for across different sectors and across different industries as well. So I think finding an entry point, and then continuous learning is also important as well. Keeping an eye on what is happening in the other sectors in the domain of the digital trends. But also it's also important to keep an eye on what is happening in other emerging technologies as well, because the way I see digital twins is really an aspirational concept. I mean, I can think of digital twin for everything, but you got to start with somewhere. And and I think that's an important lesson. But how your career plan would fit with the progress of the other emerging technologies. So for example, large language models recently
Mm,
start taking a pace, right?
mm,
And one of the big question is, can we start including this large language model and these reinforcement learning aspects into every digital twin solution in order to query the data and the information within your systems?
mm.
It's a big question, and a lot of people are exploring these things. So yeah, you start an entry point, you look for an entry point, you keep yourself updated what is going on within the market. And I think just stay curious, because things are going to change much more faster than you expect.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Actually, starting small with a domain specialism, and then, like you
Mm.
say, just keep evolving, which it can be
Yeah,
applied to
yeah.
any. So super good advice. We're pretty much there now, I guess. Covered most things, but just wondered, kind of to close this off, and I always end on a bit of a futuristic question. What is the kind of ultimate idealistic state of digital twins adding value to the people, to
Hmm.
humanity ultimately? How can it greatest benefit us?
I think you can. It's a very interesting question, because um, the way I looked into the topic of digital twin, thinking about the topic itself for the 4 years during my PhD, um, I think you can think of an nirvana state when the ultimate maturity of the digital twins can allow you to understand the things that you don't understand today.
Mm,
But I think uh, in order to be a little bit more practical, what I can see that there is an increase in the automation enabled by digital twin across the industry is going to happen.
mm,
So no, when I say automation, it's not only the automation of the systems or processes, but it's the real automation of getting the right information to the right people at the right time in the right format across across the across these across everywhere, every industry that you wanna say. And that's what the digital twin will allow you to do in the future. um, I can also suggest of the interoperability as demystifying the problem of the interoperability, because one of the biggest challenge of the technical challenge for the digital twin adoption across the industry is interoperability of the datas. uh, you have different structured and unstructured data across the within your industry, outside your industry environment as well. So I think we should be able to reach to a point when we have this enhanced interoperability and the standardization of the data sharing, and that will only not be useful to have a good digital twin,
mm.
but that interoperability of the data and the standardization of the data sharing will be good anyway, so that we can use the data for the better use and the better purposes as well.
Mm.
And of course, you touched already on the point of the metaverse. Yes, digital twin will be a significant building block of the digital reality and the metaverse. So just to give an example of one of the article from the BBC in 2022, uh, and the headline was, there will be a digital twin of every human in 2030. Now, if I read it as a digital twin researcher, or some who knows a little bit about digital twin,
Mm.
I can directly relate that it's more about health and so on. So, but imagine a common person that has nothing to do with the digital technologies and sees an article. You might, I don't know, there would be a mixed feeling.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
suppose it brings into like cloning, I guess, and
Yeah.
that
So
aspect.
would my digital twin will exist in the future? What does that even mean? So what it means is really that from the health perspective, you know that you have all the digital watches these days, collecting ample amount of data about you. So we will hit a maturity of that data collection in the future, that we should be able to support an individual identity that we call a digital twin of individual.
Mm.
But that comes with the responsibility of keeping the human in the loop, and also how you still keep your world more focused towards sustainability and resilience. But the biggest implication that we're going to see with the full maturity of the digital twins, when digital twins will be the part of the everyone's life, let's per se, is the security and the privacy consideration as well.
Mm.
So I think these are the other let's say collective challenges that we all have to keep in mind when we think of digital twin as a state of nirvana in the future, let's per se.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think as models and technology becomes more
Yeah.
advanced, and you touched on it there, the human in the loop seems to be
Yeah.
coming further and further out. Having the right data and the right data privacy, I think, is becoming more and more important. So thank you so much for coming on today, Sumit. I think you've made some really insightful comments on digital twins